So I loved what you said, that when you know the formula, you go from results to results to results to results.
And what is the primary result?
Satisfaction, pleasure, joy.
That's such a key thing to know, because that's how you know you're on track.
Got it. Yes. So since last November, when I saw you in Asheville, I have been continually more in the receptive mode, and I get it. I can feel it in my body, and I am more in step 5, step 4, step 5, step 4. The question I have is, and it's more of a, you're going to help me answer the question before I can formulate it, but it is that everything is coming in. And I lived for 35 years in a place of, I was so far from the results. The gap was so vast.
You don't know that for sure, and it doesn't help to say that.
Okay.
Something that does help is that I was figuring it out as I was figuring it out. I was doing the best that I knew, and I might have been more in step 1 than I really wanted to be, but I created a wonderful vibrational reality. And so much that I am now benefiting from happened during that time. I'm appreciative of everything that I lived and what it accomplished. Can you feel how those thoughts are much more in harmony with the way your inner being looks at it? Your inner being feels no regret about anything you've ever lived. And when you do, you're off course.
Yes.
It's really an interesting thing. Your intention here was to talk about how good it is by talking about how bad it was.
Right.
That doesn't work, because while you're talking about how bad it was, you're not letting how good it is in. But we're just saying what we were talking about earlier today is expectation. And so we're not trying to stifle anything that you're saying. We just want you all to be aware of when you're communicating or thinking or focusing, from what expectation are you offering it? And this is the question that we've been asking you lately. You may have even heard it last time we were together, is under what influence am I? Am I under the influence of source, which is what meditation accomplishes? Or am I under the influence of things that went wrong or struggle that I lived? And so in this moment, while you're visiting with us, we're just asking you, under what influence are you as the words are formulating that you're giving to us? Are you under the influence of the problem, or are you under the influence of the solution? And we get it. This is a place where we solve problems, but we can't solve problems by pointing them out.
Okay. So starting again, from the place of the solution, it is so good. I don't have any plans. I have goals, but
my plans are in the process of being realized by me. I know my plans have been made because I believe my vortex is real. And I know that my inner being knows the path of least resistance from where I am to where I'm going. So I know that those plans are all in place. I'm looking forward to, on a pretty steady basis, being in the receptive mode where I can realize what those plans are. Can you feel the difference? Because that's the way your inner being tells that story. You feel a little lost. Your inner being knows you're not. Your words were about not knowing where to go exactly. In other words, your words demonstrated a feeling of insecurity. Did you hear it? Insecurity. Well, you can't stand in a place of insecurity and be in the receptive mode. So if you're standing in a place of insecurity, take a nap, because anything that you receive is under the wrong influence. Does that make sense? Think about it. When you're in a bad mood, which of your friends do you think of to call, or which of them call you? What influence are you under? The law of attraction is always showing you what influence you're under. And so if you're under the influence of something other than source, you might want to take a nap or meditate or do some segment intending. That gets out ahead of it too. So we're happy to hear you.
So the piece is, when you get better at this, in my day, I feel in the receptive mode.
Often.
I feel real-time thoughts turning into things.
Yeah.
Often. Yesterday, several examples. Okay, so my hands are in the clay. Ding, ding. I feel it. And I am curious about what happens in this place when you have that much confidence and yet you're not shooting rockets.
Well, you're not watching the movie, you're trying to make the movie.
Got it.
And all that's happening, and we understand this, you want some separation between step 1 and step 3. Step 1 is you ask. Step 2 is source answers. It's all lined up. It's in the vibrational reality. It's in the vortex. Step 3 is you chill. You listen to the air conditioner. You get out ahead of it. You are as non-resistant as you can be much of the time. Then you get really good at that. That's step 4. And then step 5 is you're mostly feeling good, and sometimes you're exploring contrast, but the contrast isn't resistant in nature because it's just another question. Feel the difference between contrast, which is variety, and resistance, which is pushing against something. Feel the difference between contrast, which are choices, and resistance is talking about what you don't want rather than what you do want.
Okay. So it's just this subtle place of just allowing in more pleasure.
It's subtle until momentum parlays it into something not so subtle, like passion or downright enthusiasm or a grin on your face you can't get off. It's not that subtle. Alignment is not that subtle. You glow in the dark. Alignment is passion and enthusiasm and moment to moment ideas coming. It's question answer, question answer, question answer, question answer. It's things working out for you, and most of all it's, oh, I love my life. Man, did you see that happen? You can call that subtle.
Right. I have that a lot in my life. It's just that there was so much contrast before that I live more in that space now. I just don't have big goals. I mean, I do, but I don't know what the gigantic big step is. And I usually lived my life.
That's because there's no gigantic big step. It's just the next logical step and the next logical step. And those words indicate, and it's all right, an impatience about getting from where you are to where you really want to be. What that says is, I really don't want to be over here. I want to be over there. Show me the gigantic big step. And meanwhile, your inner being knows you can't take a gigantic big step. That's a vibrational inaccuracy that would be devastating. What you want is the next logical step, the next logical step, the next logical step. But you want the next logical step for the fun of it, not because it's taking you to where you want to be. Can you feel this difference?
Yeah.
And so what we want you to do, we're just going to ramble here for a little bit. We want to soothe and smooth some of the vibrational resistance that you've got going on. A lot of people do. So just hear this. So we're going to speak from your perspective. So I've lived a lot of life, and some of it I've enjoyed more than other pieces of it. And I'm really beginning to enjoy life more and more and more. And understanding the way the laws of the universe works are really helping me. But more important, understanding what my emotions mean. That's just the best, because I'm sensitive and I can feel when I'm moving with no resistance and when I'm moving with resistance. I can feel when I'm headed toward what I want, that satisfying feeling and more. And I can feel when I've sort of picked up an old practiced habit of thought. I can feel that, and more I'm catching it earlier and earlier. I'm also understanding that waiting for the negative emotion to come and then wanting to overcome the thought, feeling the negative emotion and then wanting to overcome the thought, is tiresome and hard work. And while I can do it, there must be an easier way. And I get the sense that the easier way is getting out ahead of it before the negative thought comes, which means don't think so much and then try to correct my thought. Instead, meditate, bring myself to no thought, and then begin listening to the thought. Or when I'm moving into a new segment, just stop and think, oh, this is a new segment, and then talk about how I want to feel as I'm moving into this new segment. I want to feel fun. I want to feel the harmony of the humanity of life. I want to notice lovely things in other people. It's so easy to just positively anticipate if you haven't been negatively anticipating just now. So make it easy for yourself. Meditate early in the day, segment intend as best you can, and don't try so hard to make this about thinking. Let it be about receiving a thought. Now, let's chew about this. If a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, did it make a sound? No, it didn't make a sound. Oh, it made a vibration, but there was no sound unless there was a mechanism, an eardrum, that could translate the vibration into something meaningful to the perceiver of the vibration. You get how that is? In the same way, when you are not thinking thoughts that separate you to some extent from the powerful mind that is really you, if you're not doing that thing you do, then you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on. And when you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, then those thoughts are flowing about everything that matters to you, because you've lived life and you've let the universe know, you've let your inner being know. We all don't just know it. We are standing in the vibrational equivalency of it. We are experiencing the attraction of all the cooperative components in their vibrational form, which is so satisfying to us. But you are the one who's going to allow the vibrations to turn to things that you can then witness. But if you need to see the things before you acknowledge the vibration, then you don't get there, because when you look for the things that aren't things yet, then you get off on a wonky vibration that doesn't let you perceive the becoming of the things. And it's the becoming of the things that is so much fun. You are a creator wanting to create. You are also the creation, but it is the experience of becoming that is what life is all about. You're not ever going to get it done. You're not ever going to say, well, I did it and now I'm done. That's not ever going to be. So once you begin letting what you're reaching for be the process of becoming rather than the thing that has become, then everything starts to shift for you. So now we'll put it into your words. I like my feeling of becoming. I like the data that comes. I like feeling what influence I'm under. I like deliberately and consciously using my guidance system. I like knowing I'm tuned in, and then I like the impulses that come. I like following those impulses and watching them lead to something more and something more. I love to get on the thread of pleasurable unfolding. I adore watching the universe working things out for me. I can say that better. I adore being in the receiving mode of what the universe has already worked out for me. I'm so happy to give over the responsibility of it becoming. I realize I did that responsibility in step one. I did my work. Don't want that, must want that, don't want that. Yeah, I really want that, don't want that. Prefer this, prefer this, prefer this. I did that work. That work's been done, and others got in on it, and now it's becoming. And the same way, I don't have to lie in bed at night and focus upon the reproduction of the cells in my body. I'm surprised that here I still be. I don't lie in bed at night and focus upon the flow of the blood through my body. There's so much that is tended to at other levels of consciousness. I am so tended to, and now I'm beginning to accept that there is so much that is happening on my behalf that it is not my job to tend to, because I set it in motion. The universal forces are tending to it, and now it's my job to hear the tree fall in the forest. I'm going to take my ears wherever I go, and I'm going to realize what has already been revealed to me. It's being constantly revealed. I'm going to realize it. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to tune to the station that it's being broadcast on. You don't get in your vehicle and tune your radio dial to something that you don't want to hear. You tune it to something you do want to hear, don't you? Esther's got her fingers on those buttons all the time. Bunch of pre-programmed things. And she's listening to music. Oh, that could be better. That could be better. That could. There it is. That's just what I want right there. That's all. That's all. And can you feel that feeling that you had when you first sat down of, got to figure this out so that I can do it, has evolved to, I'm already doing it. I'm going to chill so that I can realize that I'm already doing it. I'm already doing it. No one's testing me. There's no possibility that everything I want isn't mine to have. There's no risk or chance here. I'm remembering when it felt like that, but I was operating under a whole other criteria. Now I know what's going on, and now I trust this process, and now I expect this process to yield to me evidence of my evolution in understanding. Yeah.
Okay.
So we've been talking to you about law of attraction for a very long time, haven't we? And many people are beginning to understand it. Many are misunderstanding it. But we want you to understand that law of attraction is responding to the vibration of that which is you. We also want you to understand that you've got two vibrational things going on at any point in time, because you were source energy before you came into this physical body. And even though you were born into this body, that larger part of you still exists. It is a vibrational you. It's a vibrational, co-creative you. And it's pure positive energy. So here you are in your physical body, sifting and sorting, knowing what you don't want, knowing what you do want, all day, every day, have been for a very long time, launching preferences, clear preferences of what you prefer. And each one of these vibrational launchings is received by the larger part of you. In other words, vibrationally speaking, the source within you is evolving and expanding as a result of the life that you're living here in this physical body. When you see someone hungry, you want more food for your planet. When someone is rude to you, you want nicer people in your life and in the lives of others. In other words, you are constantly expanding and improving through the life that you are living. And the source within you is taking that expansion immediately. So we've been then explaining to you that without even knowing it, you've been creating this vibrational reality. It's the vibrational version that precedes the manifested version. And we explained to you that the source within you is collecting and becoming all that you are asking for. And then you say, well, if that's true, then why is my life not improving? And we say, for one very easy to understand reason. You're launching the rockets by knowing what you don't want, but then you're not practicing the vibration of what you do want often. Instead, you're beating the drum of justification of why you want the improvement. And that's that efforting factor that we're talking about that is not serving you. You're trying so hard to get what you want by pointing out that this isn't fair and this is unjust, and Kate shouldn't have won that, and they don't want me to win. In other words, as you feel the unfairness and then you stand in the justification, because there's a part of you that knows, you innately understand that you are supposed to be winning. You are supposed to be feeling good. And when you're not, you understand that there's something wrong. And then you go about trying to explain why it's wrong and how long it's been wrong and what's really wrong about it and how others agree with you that it is wrong. So you continue to practice the vibration, a frequency that disallows what you want. So in order to help you bridge that gap between who you've become and who you're allowing yourself to be, we are offering a series of analogies. We wanted you first to understand that there is a vibrational version of you that you have access to, but you have to practice yourself into alignment with it. And on some subjects, that's easy for you to do because you've been practicing it. And on other subjects, it's more difficult for you to do. So then we began explaining to you, yes, there is the non-physical version of you, which you are contributing to constantly. This is just not the non-physical part of you that was before you were born that now you're trying to catch up with. This is the non-physical part of you that has been expanding and evolving as a result of the life that you're living here in this physical body. So this vibrational version, this vortex version of you exists. It is a reality that you have access to, but you've got to find the frequency. Just like you've got to broadcast and receive with your transmitting mechanisms. You can't set your radio dial on 101 AM and receive what's being broadcast on 97 FM. You have to be on the frequency that the broadcast is coming from. So this vortex version of you is broadcasting this prosperous vibration of well-being, of alignment, of co-creation, of rendezvousing with all good things. The question is, are you on that frequency? And the answer is, if you feel good, yes. If you feel bad, no. Positive emotion means you're on the frequency or moving in on it, and negative emotion means that you're not. So then, as we've watched you, we've been calling this gathering the art of allowing for a number of years, because it's all about you figuring out how to allow that alignment. You figuring out how to hold a frequency consistently enough that you own it, that you know it, that you are it, that you be it. To establish a point of attraction with enough consistency that you allow momentum. Do you get that? Enough consistency that you allow momentum. Because when you say, I want it, but There's no momentum. I would like that, but you see, it's been hard for me. I want that, but my life's been very difficult for a very long time. Let me tell you the ways in which it has been difficult. And we say, stop talking about the ways in which it has been difficult, because you're killing the momentum of the desire that you just gave birth to. You gave birth to it and didn't allow it to get going. You give birth to it and don't allow it to get going. But imagine if you give birth to it and allow it to get going. If you give birth to it and allow it to get going. If you identify a new desire and are general enough in your conversation. So we began talking to you about your point of attraction. And it seemed like a good way to describe it. It's like a grid that will be filled in later with the manifestations. It's like a framework. It's like the frame of a building that starts out sort of scanty. You can sort of kind of tell what it's going to be like, but all of the textures and fabrics and details are going to come later. You're going to choose them as you go along, and you're going to fill it out and flesh it out with all of the magnificent, delicious details. So you have this point of attraction, this grid. If you've been following us for a while, we've been talking to you about your emotions and what they mean. You heard us today say that negative emotion means you've got a vibration going on that you're not up to speed with. And that positive emotion means you've got a vibration going on in your vortex that you are up to speed with. So today we want you to contemplate that these emotions, which go all the way from appreciation and love and ecstasy, passion, fulfillment, love, that feeling of invincibility, that feeling of eagerness for life, you know how that feels, all the way down to despair, to a feeling of fear, to a feeling of disempowerment, to a feeling that they don't want me to win, that feeling of having no control of your life. And of course, there's every imaginable emotional word or feeling in between all of that. So now we want you to realize that you are a vibrational being and that you've got a momentum going. So we'd like you to envision this spinning disc, this pure positive energy disc, this high-flying, good-feeling point of attraction that somehow, some way, you've managed to get on. And we want to say to you, it's pretty easy first thing in the day before something happens, before you read your email, or before you see another person who is irritating, or before you start remembering what went wrong yesterday. In other words, you can get on that high-flying disc pretty easily because you wake up there. And if you don't do that thing you usually do that causes you to choose a lower disc, then there you fly for a little while. And we want you to just speculate the kinds of magnificent things that you have incrementally put into your vortex of creation that will now flow seamlessly, effortlessly, quickly through the path of least resistance into your spinning grid, into that high-flying, good-feeling grid. Esther's been having a lot of fun with this visual because she's discovered that if she cares about getting on it, she most always does. And if she cares about staying on it, then she's mindful of the 17-second scenarios that might take her from it. And she's also become really good at what we were offering to you earlier about if she's falling and the momentum is strong, don't beat up on Esther about it. Don't beat up on yourself. Just take the fall and set forth the intention that tomorrow you're going to get back on it. So if every morning you decide you're going to get on it, first couple of days you probably won't make it to breakfast before something takes you from it. But eventually it's where the momentum of that which is you feels most natural. It's just pretty easy to stay there, especially when you realize that by staying general, you don't challenge it, you don't risk anything. And that if you do fall off, it's no big deal. You can get back on it tomorrow. So last week, Esther announced to us, Abraham, I refuse to accept that I have to wait till tomorrow morning to get back on the disc. Because I like being on it so much. And I'm clearly not on it right now for all of the obvious reasons, because you saw what happened. It was wrong what they said, what they did, how it turned out. Wrong, 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 wrong. But I refuse to accept that I have to wait clear until tomorrow morning to get back on it. I'm going to meditate and clear my mind. Worked really good. I'm going to find some way of distracting myself. I'm going to find a way of slowing the momentum of unwanted things while I speed the momentum of wanted things. And this is the last piece of this opening that we want you to hear from us. Make no effort at slowing negative momentum, because it just speeds it. Because this is a universe of inclusion. There's no exclusion. It's all about attraction. So when you're not going to think about that thing that you're thinking about, then you're thinking about that thing you're not going to think about. And as you're thinking about that thing you're not going to think about, you're thinking about that thing you're not going to think about. And the momentum is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And you're feeling worse and worse and worse and getting all animated about the injustice of what you're feeling. They just don't want me to win, you exclaim. And we want you to understand that it's all about what you're doing. And when it doesn't feel good, just lay as low as you can lay, as fast as you can do it. So rather than trying to stop negative momentum, your work, this is your assignment for the rest of your life. We never give homework, but today we're going to. Find ways to get positive momentum going. That's it. That's your work. Get on the disc, stay there as long as you can. If you fall off, no big deal. Get back on as quickly as you can. If you fall off, no big deal. Get back on. Until what will begin to happen is you'll have enough positive momentum that you'll begin feeling what the true power of influence is that we've been talking about. If you're having a no good, very bad day, Esther will say, clearly, I'm on the ornery disc. And I can tell I'm on there because there's ornery people all around me. Or I'm on the defensive disc. And your tendency, Esther's too, is to want to blame the other ornery people. Because if they weren't there with her and being ornery, she'd feel a lot better. But we want her and all of you to understand, she met them there. She met them there. It's like going to the ornery meeting. Where's the ornery meeting? Where's the ornery meeting? I want to meet new ornery friends. Like to be flipped off by different people in traffic today than usual. So when you begin to accept that you chose the disc and that they just met you there, it sort of takes the sting out of what they're doing, what it feels like they're doing to you, especially when you begin to accept that you have the choice of what disc you're on. And today, we think you understand it more clearly than ever before, that you have a choice of what disc you get on. And the earlier you choose it, the better chance you have of choosing the one you mean to choose. And eventually, and we're talking about a matter of a few days and weeks, you're going to predominantly be there. And when you start hanging out in that high-flying, good-feeling vibration, and you not only have the benefit of feeling good and breathing more deeply and feeling that fantastic feeling of eagerness coursing through you, but you also then begin to realize the benefit of the wonderful ideas that are flowing to you and the really good timing you have and the rendezvousing with all kinds of wonderful things. And the evidence of your disc is all around you. No matter what disc it is, the evidence of it is all around you. Then you'll begin to understand the invincible you. You'll begin to understand that you are the creator of your own reality. You'll begin to understand you always have been and you always will be, but you'll begin to exercise more deliberate control. And you'll find yourself, this is the biggest benefit of all. You'll find yourself not spending all of that time, how much time you can spend, trying to explain something to somebody who's not on your disc. Have you ever been flying high and somebody else isn't and you're trying to explain to them? They don't get it, do they? So you just crawl right down on their disc with them so that they can understand it. And then, are you ever mad at them that you're down there on that disc with them? You'll get so much time back because you begin to understand that it's not a language barrier. It's not a cultural barrier. It's a vibrational barrier. Stop trying to explain stuff to people that they have no way of understanding. Instead, pick your disc, rendezvous with those that do understand, and have a really good time.